It's all the same. Only the name will change. 'Cause it's the Muppets Christmas Carol. Hi there, Scott Action Jackson back with another Christmas Carol video. Well, technically, I could say Santa Scott. But yeah, another Christmas Carol video. This one covering the Muppet Christmas Carol. Or in some cases, Disney's The Muppet Christmas Carol. But in which case, we all know the story's the same thing. Ebenezer Scrooge, bad, ill-tempered son of a... and how he sees the errors in his past. That's what he knows of. And shows some glimmer of hope, which breaks out his kindness. And he faces his own mortality. And then, everything's fine. You're not dead. And let's celebrate. Let's be good to each other and one another. That kinda sums up A Christmas Carol. Now, with the name being the Muppet Christmas Carol, a lot of stuff has been changed out with just Muppets. And the last video I did was just Mickey's Christmas Carol, was a full animated one. This one has a lot of Muppet and actual people interactions. And if you've seen some actual stuff behind the scenes of how Michael Caine approaches, he said he approaches it like he's acting with other people, not just Muppets. This movie actually starts off with a in loving memory of Jim Henson and Richard Hunt. Richard Hunt was a puppeteer for the Hensons. There hasn't been a Muppet movie in a long while, so... And we all know Jim Henson died sometime after the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It was unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Now, I don't know why... but for some reason they decided to have actual narrator or narrators there, present during the story. Gonzo as Charles Dickens and Rizzo the Rat. What? I mean, I've heard some people say, well, Gonzo's so weird and out of place that it kind of makes sense. No! If you take Gonzo and Rizzo out of this movie, guess what? You still got a good Christmas Carol movie. They don't need to be in there. Like with Mickey's Christmas Carol, Mickey Mouse was Bob Cratchit. With the Muppet Christmas Carol, guess what? Kermit the Frog has to be Bob Cratchit. But yeah, Michael Caine kind of does a good job with Scrooge here. Because when he's a tight-hearted son of a bitch, he can be very evil. And when he shows his softer, kinder side, he's kind of a normal guy. After the tribute, we get to see the skyline of this London, and we get treated to a song about Scrooge, which I don't think he really needs one to get introduced. Once inside Scrooge's place of employment, we notice Bob Cratchit and some rats working there. Okay, I guess they had to throw extra Muppet characters somewhere. Sure. So at which point we get to see Nephew Fred. Okay. And we get so we once again get two characters collecting for the poor. I don't remember if this is a constant thing even in the book or not. What's funny is that it's the duo that's collecting for the poor is Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. And Scrooge admits it's very late, so he leaves and let Bob Cratchit close up with the rats. And here we get another interesting little song and performances. Because we get Kermit the Frog singing about how it's one more sleep till Christmas. along with the rats mostly doing the cleaning up and closing up. But once they get outside the shop, quotations, shop, we see them traveling on their way back home, in which we see some penguins skating on ice, and in some cases, belly flopping. This continues the song onward to the finale of it, which has Kermit looking up at the stars. And at one point, a shooting star falls down. And a lot of people consider this the Jim Henson tribute shot. I kind of have to agree. Scrooge, meanwhile, gets back home, gets greeted by the door knocker changing to his former partner, or one of them, because in this version, it's the hecklers. That's the ghost of Marley, or Marley's, which brings us to their little song. I think it's called Marley and Marley. It's interesting having more than one ghost here to spook Scrooge the first time around. I'm guessing we kind of had to get both because they're a duo. They kind of have to be there together. You couldn't just have one person. Except for the door knocker. The door knocker had to be one face. We go on to the ghost of Christmas Past, who is oddly childlike. And I've heard how they made this ghost, how they put this thing underwater and filmed it under there, which had to be uncomfortable as hell. And I like how this actually goes back to Scrooge's childhood, or at least to his schooling, and then takes us to the party at Fezziwig's, where he meets his beloved. And yes, Fezziwig is Fozzie. So yeah, we get Scrooge and his belle. Unfortunately, the Ghost of Christmas Past also takes us to when they broke up, which brings up kind of a heartbreaking and heart-wrenching song, When Love Is Gone. I know in some versions of the Muppet Christmas Carol, this song is either really cut down to missing to having the full thing in it. Now, if you're able to see the full song, or I should say listen to the full song, you can try and look it up on YouTube or somewhere else. Or maybe, if you're able to, pick up the soundtrack. It might be on there, the full one. This leaves Scrooge depressed as hell because he knows he screwed up with this. And the ghost is just reminding him and bringing it up, which is something he doesn't want. Now, onward to the Ghost of Christmas Present, who's a little absent-minded. Now, I love what they did with this Ghost of Christmas Present, with him being so jolly and happy and more or less a Santa Claus. With the Ghost of Christmas Present, we get to see Ebenezer Scrooge's nephew's party, where they end up making fun of him. We also go to the Cratchit home. We get introduced to Tiny Tim, who's with Kermit. Well, I should say Tiny Tim, who, a.k.a. Robin the Frog, who's doing a bit of scat dancing with Kermit on the way back home. Inside the house, we have Miss Piggy with their pig daughters and their, I think, one frog son. So 2 frog sons, 2 pig daughters. That's kind of odd. But anyway, we get Tiny Tim at home, hopping around, coughing, making you feel sad, and showing a lot of Christmas spirit for a child so weak. This is where we get to the end of the Ghost of Christmas Present. Well, of this present, as he fades away, and Scrooge is left to face the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And it just so happens that they're standing outside of a graveyard when it happens. And Scrooge should probably turn around because the smoke is approaching him. But much like the Ghost of Christmas Present, I actually love the design that they made for the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. It's got the whole huge and spooky, but not too horrifying. If that's what they were intending to do with this, they did an excellent job. One of the first places they go to is back to the Cratchits. But Scrooge knows there's no happy sounds or noises. They look inside, and more or less they find out Tiny Tim is gone. They see the little chair and crutch in the corner. We then get around to the graveyard where the ghost of Christmas yet to come shows Scrooge what he needs to see. His grave. And Scrooge pleads with the ghost, saying he can change, he has changed, he's a better man. And Scrooge wakes up. The spirits have done it, yay! A character who at the beginning, the middle, seems to have been treated like shit was Bean Bunny. We mostly know Bean Bunny from, The Tale of the Bunny Picnic. He was originally from that, and was featured throughout different Muppet series. But in the beginning, he was just verbally and physically abused. He was later spotted freezing in the cold trying to sleep. And here at the end, we see him helping Scrooge with getting a turkey. Once Scrooge gets dressed and goes outside, he comes across the two collectors for the poor, and he offers them apparently a large amount, and Beaker gives Scrooge his scarf, which he'll continue to wear for the rest of this finale-ish, because I think it changes in size because, Beaker is a small Muppet. And now we get to Scrooge going to the shops, buying stuff, to giving out gifts in a weird montage type of thing during this song. And what's confusing is he goes to his nephew's, and instead of staying there for Christmas meal party, he just stops off, drops some gifts off, waves bye-bye, and leaves. The fuck? Your nephew for years upon years have been trying to invite you to Christmas dinner. And you don't stay for Christmas dinner. So the last stop is the Cratchit house. And we know where this is going. He has to put on a serious, stern face. Bob Cratchit! Blah, blah, blah. What are you doing here? You should be working. Blah, blah, blah. And then he presents the Cratchits with all the stuff, the turkey, and all these guests that are following him. Because apparently all of London is following Ebenezer Scrooge to the Cratchit's house. I know you have to have a happy ending, but my God, this is kind of an overkill. So throughout this Muppet Christmas Carol, there's only a few things I very much enjoyed. One of which is the time with Ghost Christmas Present. Because overall, it was fun. And even with the song he was doing, it was interesting too. Not as memorable as a few other songs in this movie, but still. I guess you could say Beaker giving Scrooge his scarf is a touching moment as well. I don't know how often it's actually shown that somebody actually gives something to Scrooge. That's, a gift, not just coins or something. An act of kindness. There are some things in this movie that is quite amazing that they were able to do. Some of the effects and the puppeteering. The music, also great with. I would recommend that people check out the Muppet Christmas Carol if they can. It is, once again, another one of those interesting, fun versions of the story. Now, knowing my luck, I probably left out a few things about this movie, in which case, So that's one more Christmas Carol film done and out of the way. And one more to go.